yoga, like life, is a process of refining and evolving. Simply slowing down and being aware is a place to begin. Hi, my name is Stacy Milner-Collins. Welcome to Yoga in Practice.
Thursdays at 5 p.m. We're local and enlightening. You're watching WLAE-TV, celebrating 40 years of New Orleans public television.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
At Villery's Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villery's provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villery's Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
C&C Drugs is a family-owned pharmacy that's been serving Southeast Louisiana for over 50 years. Whether you need help taking care of an elderly family member, a growing child, or even a pet, C&C provides patient-centered care for your entire family. C&C Drugs, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Locations in Mandeville and Araby.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Over the next hour, we do as we always do. We'll cover all the home teams. Saints, LSU, Tulane, and Pelicans on tap to break it down for us. Two of the best we've had in the state. Legendary Roe Brown, part of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, 1067 The Ticket. Also, again, you can check him out at CrestCitySports.com. Lenny Vangilder of 1067 The Ticket, also at CrestCitySports.com. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Eric.
Good to see you again, Ro.
Yeah, good to see you too.
And Lenny, of course.
I'm just glad to be sitting next to Ro here.
He's always here. You know?
Yeah, he's
regular. You're almost a co-host.
Before, well, I'll tell you this. One thing I was thinking about, I said, well, who could I put together that would really be great? And I knew that you guys would work together. So the audience, stick around for the full hour. You're going to really enjoy today's program.
We know back in the day, by the way, our wives worked together. So it's like, it's actually way back when, you know, and they work together.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, if I don't, my wife's birthday always falls around this time of year because I always get a happy birthday to Christy. Coming up this weekend. So that's all we say. We're to the point we don't discuss numbers anymore.
Yeah, no, we don't. No, we don't. Well, why don't we let the folks know a little bit about what's going on? Part of the three tailgaters at 1067 The Ticket, Crest City Sports. Tell us all about it.
With Kenny Trahan, he lets me come in, sit in with him every Saturday morning, 10 to 12 on 106.7 The Ticket, and that's pretty much what I do now. Do a little writing, of course, Friday Night Football.
Yes, Friday Night Football.
Yes, Trahan's original prep football report and all that good stuff. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't do as much as he does.
No. I'm kidding. By the way, we are, as of yesterday, as of Wednesday, we are now 100 days away from the first Friday night of the high school football season.
Really?
How it's going to be here before we know
it.
Exactly.
A couple things I want to add. First of all, congratulations to Lenny Vangilder, who's the new program director over at 1067 The Ticket. Also, obviously doing a lot of fill-in work for us when we take a day off. He's so gracious to sit in. And then, of course, with CrestCitySports.com. And y'all got a baseball, league coming up, right?
Yeah, it's underway. It got underway Tuesday night. The weather keeps getting in the way of playing a full schedule. This, these conditions out there, unless we find a way to set up like Banana Ball in the Superdome and just play nonstop games there. it can be a challenge, but kudos to our schools. They have been getting some games in. 17 teams this year. And the interesting, look, it's all about player development. Right. It's all about getting, young underclassmen, the guys, getting a chance to play together. The team that's probably going to be out there next year for a lot of these schools. And here's the best story to tell of it all. This is the 5th year. The first 4 years, the league champion has reached the state championship each of the last 4 years.
Really?
Couple of titles, couple of runner-ups, but they've gotten to the state championship each of the 4 years of the league.
And that's the good thing about it, because a lot of people, they say, oh, is it like American Legion? It's not like American Legion. Is it replacing?
Right.
The development thing is what this is all about. Like you said, it's all underclassmen. It's people who are going to be on their high school teams next year.
And look, as we know, what's happening on the high school level has changed. You've got travel ball and you've got all showcases and all of these other things going on. This is a schedule that fits what these young men, some cases young ladies in the other sports are doing, and yet allows them, the coaches, to be able to work with their kids together for a short period of time. End by July 4th, it gets done. Everybody can get their break before schools gets ready to start. So it works for everybody, and we're just happy to be a part of it.
And of course, you guys are televising that on Crescent City Sports?
We will have games on Crescent City Sports, the finals, or semifinals and finals, June 30th, July 1st, so we go all the way up to them. But check our social media channels, check our site, CrescentCitySports.com, for all the latest in terms of where we'll be, plus all the coverage. We've got coverage on every game that gets played every night.
And I got to let you promote the ticket as well.
Oh, of course. A lot going on. Look, New Orleans' only all sports station with more than 30 hours of local programming every week, including yourself, including this guy. I'm just happy to help navigate the ship, so to speak, because that's what
and he is navigating the ship.
I have done my share of navigation here early on. It's all bullet.
Nobody wants to know what goes on, how you make the sausage, but yes, he has been navigating the ship.
Yes,
so he's doing a great job as well, guys. Can I start with this, because this is a little bit out of the ordinary, because everybody wants to jump right into the Saints. Lenny, I always bring you on this time of year because normally we're talking about 4, 5, 6 teams for Louisiana getting into the college baseball playoffs. This year, only one.
Only one. Raging Cajuns put it together late, made a nice run, and got in. And look, here's the thing to remember: since 1976, so basically in the last 50 years, 2011 was the only year that Louisiana's been shut out of the tournament. Only once since the early 80s have we had a tournament before this year with no Tulane or LSU. One or the other has been in. So I wrote the piece of Crescent City Sports earlier this week. Is this an anomaly that we're going through, where last year LSU was the only team from Louisiana that got in, and this year UL's the only team from Louisiana that got in? The year before that, 6 teams got in. Yeah. Are we dealing with an anomaly, or is this the start of a pattern?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm jury's still out for me. Obviously, I think LSU was a blip on the screen.
Yes.
Okay. I think what Matt Deggs has done at UL is, they've been in and out. La Tech's been a consistently solid program, and they're going into the Sun Belt next year. So you've obviously got teams that can win a championship. Like the Southland champion has come from Texas the last couple of years, but like Southeastern's obviously been very good. Nichols won it in 23 and 24. They showed signs that maybe they were on the way back after this year. So, and obviously locally, we haven't seen much of UNO Tulane in the field. I mean, Tulane won a couple of conference tournaments to get in, 23 and 24. But they haven't been in a position to get in at large spot now in about a decade. Obviously, UNO hasn't been since 07, 08. It's the last time that they've been. I'd like to think those programs are starting to figure some things out, and I think LSU obviously, I think this was a one-off bad situation, and Jay Johnson's going to learn a lot from what happened this year, do some things a lot differently going into 2027. I'll be interested to see what the end result is when we get into next February.
It shows how the game of college baseball has changed.
Right.
Because, what I thought about a lot, Lenny, was the 87 regional. 1987 regional at UNO was a Louisiana regional. The only team in the regional, a 6-team regional, that wasn't from Louisiana was one of the #1 seeds in the country, Cal Fullerton. They came all the way from California to UNO.
Well, they gave UNO. Back then it was all about what can you bid, how many people can we bus in, and it made sense. And Fullerton got sent here. They couldn't host. They didn't have a facility. They were a 1 seed.
Yeah. But my point is that UNO, LSU, Tulane, Louisiana Tech, and Southern were all in that region.
Right.
You know, and they all at the time deserved to be in that region.
No doubt.
I mean, they weren't. They were all deserving. Because that's the famous regional where Southern upset Fullerton, the #1 seed. You know, but that's what I thought about when I hear people talk about how we didn't have many teams this year. I don't know. It may be a sign of things to come.
Is it NIL?
It's not all NIL. Now, one of the things that's happened is basically you could fully scholarship your entire program. 11.7 was that number you heard out there for a long time.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Right.
Okay, but now you've got to ramp up what you're doing in terms of a commitment to your program to be able to keep up with some of those other people. And look, NIL is one thing, and I think, you've obviously got the portal out there, and if anybody goes and does anything, here come the dollar signs, and you're off to another program.
Right.
UNO's best player last year was at Georgia this year.
Yeah, and let's
the year before Mississippi State, right?
Exactly. I mean, let's face it. When I was talking about 1987, you didn't have 8 or 9 SEC schools that really cared about baseball.
True.
Well, it's
you know what I mean? At that time, you know what I mean? So
Skip Bertman was just getting started.
Exactly.
Skip, obviously, Ron Polk before him and Skip put the blueprint out there.
It was Mississippi State was the only one, and then basically,
But look at, you talk about the arms race. Look at the facilities that are out there now. I mean, some of these places are better than minor league parks when you go to them. It really is, and they're magnificent when you go to some of these places. And the same thing's happened in some of the other sports. Well, you go see, LSU softball facility is good. You mean, you got the Women's College World Series starting this weekend in Oklahoma City. 5 of the 8 schools that are there from the SEC. So they've made a ridiculous commitment, and that's all happened in the last 20 years or so.
The expansion of scholarships, we know that Tulane has not taken advantage of that. Have the other schools taken advantage of that here in Louisiana?
I think everybody's different in terms of what it is that they're doing.
Right.
And and obviously, you talk about, you got to put Tulane in a different pot than everybody else because it's a private school as opposed to a public school, and all the, tops can get you a long way at some of these other places. Tulane is bordering on 6 figures now, cost of attendance. And, to do that for a 34-man roster and trying to get there, something's got to be. Obviously something's got to be done. It's funny. My time at Tulane back in the 90s, and Rose spent a lot of time there along the way as well. Back then, men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball were all very good. Football was struggling, and back then, oh man, we'd give anything to have a great football program. Now you got a great football program, and some of the other ones have got to pick their way up. But again, as we know, football drives the bus, right?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
We shall see. Again, I think it's an anomaly that only to be able to have one team in, and of course LSU out. I would think that things would get better next year. We would hope they would get better next year, but I think NIL is really, again, driving, as you said, I think driving the bus here when it comes to college athletics. And look, right now, before Congress, again, the SCORE Act didn't make it, but Congress is going to be taking up another look at, again, how they can rein in college athletics. And hopefully, again, that will happen, but still allow the athletes to continue to be able to profit off, again, their name, image, and likeness. Guys, you have an opinion on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think athletes should be able to, to profit from their name, image, and likeness. My only thing with this is, people say you've got to do something about it. It has to be controlled, and it needs to be. I'm not sure who could do it, though.
Right. Well, the NCAA is toothless.
Who should do it?
Right.
I mean, who? I mean, it's fine that you got a couple senators that come up with a bill, but how is that going to be enacted? I mean, they can't do it. I don't think. I mean, I just don't see. I don't know who can do it.
Well, nobody wants to be the one to take the lead, so they're looking for somebody else to take the lead. Is the way I view it. The NCAA could go past it,
right?
But obviously, the NCAA is the member schools, and what, if you're talking about, you obviously the bigger conferences, the autonomy four, as you would call them. In reality, you're talking about the SEC and the Big Ten.
Right, exactly.
Let's leave the ACC and the Big 12 out of it.
Yeah.
What it is that they want and what it is everybody else wants may be something different. The problem that you're running into right now is state laws, or no laws in some cases, are all different. So everybody's doing something different out there, some kind of different interpretation of how they're going. That's why they're kind of looking to Congress to try to put a framework out there that everybody can work within. One of the interesting things in the bill that came out this week is, the concept that if 75% of the schools agree, we can bring this whole TV package together and go redo it. Well, if you do the math on it, 75% of the FBS schools would be everybody except the SEC
and the Big Ten. Right.
Okay, if you do the math, right at that 75% threshold. So then everybody else would have to agree to that. Would they agree? I don't know, but obviously at that point it's everybody else against them, and they can't even agree on how many teams they want in the playoff right now.
A tip of the hat to him, because this is how I always felt. Jeff Duncan wrote something this week. About the NFL works because it's socialism. Okay. Right. Basically, it's socialism. Right. They share.
Profit share.
Okay. They put it all in a pot and they cut it up, and I don't know if you could get colleges to do that. I don't know if you could get conferences to do that.
Well, they do.
I know, but but they don't want to do. They don't want to share with some school that they think is
No, not them. But again, Alabama and LSU get the same amount that Vanderbilt does. Now all of a sudden Vanderbilt's a little bit better.
But I'm saying, but you're not talking about the other people.
Right.
Okay, where do they come in with this?
The teams that are not in the SEC.
Yeah,
certainly.
Exactly.
Look, and the Big Ten's getting more, and everybody's got a little bit something different. And look, the thing that's got to happen sooner rather than later in all of this is you've got to find a way to rein in what NIL looks like, because the people who have the money are going to continue to spend the money, and then others are going to have to spend money to try to keep up with the Joneses. There's not an unlimited amount of money out there. Somewhere, somehow, you're going to start seeing sports cuts. You're going to start seeing, departments cut, whatever it is.
Well, the Olympic sports are going to go away.
Yeah. Well, Arkansas very nearly shut down both of its tennis programs, and all of a sudden they generated millions of dollars in about a month, and they walked that back, and and that's happened in a number of cases.
Well, mostly I think men's Olympic sports will go away.
Yes.
They're not going to do a lot of cutting of women's sports. That's not going to happen. It's just not. It would be men's sports.
Although what's interesting to me when you bring up Title IX is just the approach that's been taken, because everybody's saying, the women are going to have to get everything the men. Well, that's not how the TV contracts are. And that's the way the TV contracts are effectively written is so much money is coming in for your football rights. So much money is coming in for your men's basketball rights. So, and so that's how they're allocating based on those, those percentages, if you will, that are put out there. So everything is not equal. The men's basketball package for the SEC, for instance, is more valuable than the women's basketball package. And so they don't have to allocate as a result the same way.
We're going to take a quick break here, a little early break. We come back, we'll start with the New Orleans Saints, then we'll get into, again, a brand new coach for the New Orleans Pelicans. Then we'll get into LSU and Tulane. We'll try to talk about all for the major sports. All that coming up here on Inside New Orleans Sports. Ro Brown, Lenny Vangilder, our guest. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Stay tuned.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar.
Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. Lenny Vangilder, Ro Brown, our guests tonight. All right, guys, we'll start with the New Orleans Saints. And everybody wants to know, what's the future of Alvin Kamara and Cam Jordan with this team? I will ask that question first, and then as a follow-up, what would they miss the most at this point in their careers? Would it be leadership? Or again, what they can do on the field? Ro, I'll take you first.
Well, Cam Jordan really screwed this up.
You mean he was so well, played so well?
He screwed it up because he got 10.5 sacks last year. You know, I mean, if he had performed this season like he had the previous two, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. But, you know, he didn't. So, you know, we all know what he means to franchise. We all know what he has done during his time here. There is some degree, I think, you know, especially from fan standpoint, that he deserves a little bit something extra, you know, because of who he is and what he's done, and we love him and he loves us and all that good stuff. But that's not how the NFL works, unfortunately. Right. And, you know, I don't know, I haven't heard about anybody else really showing interest in him.
He said he had a couple teams that looked at.
You know, so it sounds like if he plays, he's going to have to play here.
Right.
And if he wants to play, it's going to have to be here. I think Alvin Kamara will be here.
You do?
I do. I think he'll be here. I think that Alvin Kamara is probably smart enough to realize that he's a 30-year-old running back. You know, and although he still can play,
yes,
it's not like Alvin Kamara at 26.
No. Right, of course.
You know, and I think he knows that. I think he's smart enough to know that, okay? So if I got to come in now and then and share with HN, I'll do that. I think that's how that's going to end up, you know. But I'm usually wrong in this. Lenny?
Well, no. I don't. Now, I'll say this about Kamara. First of all, he was here and got to share a little bit with Mark Ingram. And obviously that was, now you're looking at shoes on the other foot there. Right. So there's that. Now, let me remind you this. Monday is June 1st.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's
so there's a couple of things that come into play here. One is, obviously, anything you did want to do post June 1st night, I know you can designate stuff, but anything you do post June 1st, obviously you got the ability to do different things with the cap. The other thing is this. Anything you do from a free agent perspective post June 1st, now it doesn't go into anything in terms of those draft picks that you might pick up for 2027. Right. So if you're a team and you're interested, a compensatory pick. So anything that you might like, if you are the Atlanta Falcons, God forbid, or pick any of the other 30 teams in the NFL, and you've got an interest in Cam Jordan, and there's not a massive market out there, let's hold on and wait until after June 1st, because then, you know, obviously he's been a productive guy. He would certainly be somebody who would, you know, would cost me something potentially down the road. You know, if I've already given up, you know, if I already had something lost and I go take that and it offsets it or whatever, then it might cost me a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick to be able to sign a Cam Jordan. So while no one's really talked about that a lot, that's just something to keep. Let's see if the market changes next week in terms of some interest there where it comes to Cam Jordan. Obviously, Kamara's under contract. That's a different situation. Is he going to renegotiate? If they don't feel like they can keep him at the price they've got him at right now, do they just release him? That's a different situation. But Cam is a free agent, and we haven't seen a lot in that regard at this point. And maybe, just maybe, that's why.
Guys think that they'll ask Alvin Kamara to take a pay cut?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's how the National Football League works.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know? Yeah, I think they will. I
think he'll take it?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I hate to feel like I'm speaking for somebody.
No, I get it.
I don't, but I think he will.
Yeah.
Do you want? And the option is, okay, we'll release you, and then you go test the market and things like that. But at the same time, you also have to think about, okay, if we release you, what's the dead money situation? What does it behoove us to try to carry you at? Right. You know, what is the difference from a Saints perspective? Because again, you're talking about actual money you're doling out, but at the end of the day, you've got to make sure you stay under the cap. And where does that put you? exactly. Well, of course, we don't know what a different offer would be, so we can't really compare apples to apples at this point as a result. But I think it would seem logical. You can't have a backup running back at the amount of money that he would make. Yeah. If he's truly the backup, and then if he's not, you think he's good enough to be the starter, then you're paying Achane $48 million over 4 years, not to be a backup.
Right. Well, then there's the other part of this, and that is, again, do you feel comfortable with the other players that are in that backfield outside of Kamara and Achane, that they can play if there's an injury, if they can be that number 2 back that can share the load with Achane? That's the other question here.
Well, I think Alvin Kamara could do that.
No, I think he can, but can Neal do it? Can Estime do it? Can Chandler do it that they've just brought in?
Yeah, I mean
those are the players that we're looking at right now that are the backups there, and I don't think any of those guys scare anybody in the NFL.
As well as the rebuilding process of the Saints has gone, in my opinion, and I think it looks to me like they're doing everything right thus far. To me, it just looks like every move, I'm not that big on any of those other running backs thus far. Okay,
right.
I mean, I'm not Neal or any. I just they don't turn me on.
Right.
I mean, they're all right, but they don't. No.
Yeah. I think they're serviceable backups.
Yeah.
The question is, if Kamara's not here, how much of a load do you expect Achane to handle? Is it 80%? I mean, is he a guy who can be an every down back? Can he take the beating of touching a football 350, 400 times a year? Perhaps, I don't know, but obviously the more you do, the bigger risk of injury that you run, and the freshness and all of, I mean, he's not a guy who's going to grind it out 30 times a game between the tackles for you, okay? So you've got to have somebody who is serviceable to be able to come in there, and spot him for a few carries here, and different packages and things like that to, just give him some reps out of there.
Kamara and Achane have similar skill sets, and I do think they'd be a nice 1-2 punch, but you're still going to need a physical back, and I wonder if that guy's on the roster.
I don't know.
We didn't see enough of Neal last year because of the injury.
Is he the physical back though?
Yeah, but again, the things you heard about him coming out of Kansas is he had a chance. And look, I don't want to say running backs are a dime a dozen, but how many times have you seen productive running backs be guys who were picked way down in the draft or unrestricted free agents? Pierre Thomas, I mean, so it's you've had those kind of guys, they've been up. Chris Ivory. How many times have we seen backs come off the street and be productive guys? So
all you have to do is look at the pay scale, and that tells you what the National Football League thinks of running backs.
But it's changing now. But it's kind of flipped back to where there's a value.
And not to the 1970s where but it's they feel like we could get a running back anywhere. I think that's how most of the league people.
I would agree. Ro, you mentioned, and it's where I want to go next. It seems like over the last couple years, everything they've done has really worked out well for them. Talk about draft and free agency this year, and how you think they've done in terms of restocking this roster.
Well, this time last year, we couldn't say what I'm about to say. It looks like the Saints had the best draft in the league last year.
Agreed.
Looks like they got the best quarterback in the draft, and they got the best left tackle in the draft, which is 2 positions. I mean,
cornerstone.
Just based on what they did. Now maybe they'll flop in their sophomore years. I don't know, but based on what they did, once they got on the field, I'm not talking about 40 time, and I'm not talking about a vertical leap and that kind of thing. Playing the games based on what they did, it seemed like they had the best, and it looks like this draft answered some questions that they had. And it looks like, they filled and answered those questions with this draft to me. Like I said, I'm always kind of skeptical, man, when everything seems like it's going right all the time. With anything, I'm going,
wait for the other shoe to drop.
Is this really, am I dreaming or what?
Right.
Okay, but it just looks like this is moving in the right direction. And just about everything. The signing of Achane looked really good to me.
Yeah.
You know, for this team. And you know, it just moves like that. Has made it seem like, you know, they're doing the right things. You know,
they're skewing younger. They're getting more speed. We see now on this team now. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I came out of this year's draft concerned about was, did they address everything that they needed to address, and did they, you know, maybe overstep a little bit at the receiver position?
They didn't address everything, but
right. But obviously, you know, based on what, but these guys have maybe earned the ability to, I don't want to say, you know, to get a pass for any kind of decision they made, you know, based on what they did last year. I mean, that, you know, as our colleague Ken Trahan likes to point out, basically that entire, how often do you see an entire draft class make a roster?
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, you had some injuries
and do something.
And yeah, they were obviously contributing.
Yes.
So now you got to keep them healthy, but I think obviously they had the mindset going in that we don't have enough weapons for Tyler Shuck. And it was clearly addressed, and then some. They doubled down, they tripled down in terms of going to get him some, you know, some weapons out there. And look, I've said it time and time again, this show and other places, things like that, the concept of not trading up because you're giving away assets to be able to do that, because again, everybody, you're not going to hit on everybody.
Right.
Okay. You're going to miss once in a while. You've got to be able to take as many swings as you can, and
especially when you're rebuilding.
When you're rebuilding, because you can get those guys on rookie contracts, and this is all a big jigsaw puzzle to try to be able to make it all fit. Obviously, positionally, but based around the salary cap as well. And you've got to make it work. You've got to have X number of guys, whatever that number is, out of your, you know, out of the guys that are counting against your cap on rookie deals, or else it just can't work.
Yeah, yeah, and like you say, with this draft, I mean, let's face it. I mean, they got what, 1, 2, maybe 3 receivers that we kind of believe they're going to make the team. We're not, you know, it's usually when you draft people, you know, you wonder if some of them will make it, and just the general consensus is they're going to make the team. Already you're thinking that.
Right. Well, you figure Barry and Brown's going to be a kick returner for you. So they looked at specific, you know, I guess niches for each one of those players. You look at the kid from North Dakota State. He's probably again going to be your deep threat, which again replaces Shaheed. So I think there was a mindset they went in with, again, what they were looking at. And also I think they're not happy with their receiving core. If they were happy with what they had already, they wouldn't be putting a lot of investment in that. Now, with that, they did not go out and get a cornerback. That's the big question going forward, and especially that star position for Staley, who was an incredible defensive coordinator, but at the same time, you still need the pieces.
They may be thinking in terms that they signed some veteran corners. You know, they may be thinking one of those guys will turn out to be Jabari Greer.
We can only hope.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? As a free agent, a veteran free agent, put on that other side. And you know, that may be what they're thinking.
Leadership on this team, you know, again, with now DeMario Davis gone, Cam Jordan possibly not coming back. On that defensive side of the ball, now there's a void in leadership. Who picks that up?
I have no idea, but I know that Tyler Shuck is the leader of this team already. Already.
No doubt.
The leader of the team.
I would agree.
You know, offense and defense.
Yes.
I think he already is.
I think you don't go acquiring guys or appointing guys to do that. That has to come naturally inside of that locker room. We don't know how it happens.
We don't know the dynamics of what's going on.
Right. We don't know how it happens, but somebody is. You know, is it a Justin Reed? Is it a Pete Werner?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, is it somebody? You know, is it somebody up front? You know, is there somebody else out there who has maybe come in who can? You know, you just don't know. You know, how that all, you know, comes about happening. Obviously, the quarterback position, that's a good place to have somebody lead as opposed to somebody who's not that way. That's an important spot. But beyond that, it can come from anywhere.
You don't know about the personality of the people coming in.
Sure.
I mean, we knew DeMario Davis was a good football player, but nobody was sitting around here saying when he got here, oh, he's going to be the leader of defense.
Right.
But he ended up being the leader of the
Heart and
defense.
soul.
Right. You know, I mean, we weren't thinking about that when he got here.
Got Guys, expectations for Tyler Shuck in year 2, knowing that teams now have been game planning for him, looking for his strengths, his weaknesses, then breaking down that film, and they're going to try to take away the things that he does well, especially again early in this season. What's your expectations?
My expectations are that he will continue. My expectations. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. That he will continue to improve. And I mean, he only played what, 9 games? Yeah. But those 9 games are pretty good games for somebody, just coming in. Somebody just starting to play. And so I expect him, sometimes it may not look like it looked at the end of last year. Because as you said, people are aware now.
Yes.
People can game plan and have time to look at him. Perhaps added weapons will help.
Offensive line, another year with
free agent from Buffalo at the guard position, and so, but, so my answer to almost everything is, I can tell you what I think, but we got to wait and see.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have a terrible sophomore year.
Right. Well, again, there's film now, so we'll see again if he can overcome that. And look, he should have been working on everything that was a quote-unquote weakness in his game, because he knows that, again, they're going to try to expose that in this upcoming season. What are your thoughts?
Like somebody who,
I would agree with that. I would agree.
Seems like somebody,
No, look, he fits the mold of guys who have had success in this league in recent years. And, obviously all we got is a half-season sample in the NFL. Saw what he did in the college level, but a half-season sample in the NFL, and there's no reason to believe, can he be Drake May next year? I don't know that. Although what's interesting to me is you hear some of the things about how New England was positioned going into last year. Going into last year in terms of schedule, in terms of the whole developmental process. By no means am I saying the Saints are going to the Super Bowl next February, but it sounds an awful lot, in a lot of ways, like what was going on in New England going into last season.
Oh, 4th place schedule, we can go through it all.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. You got the 2nd easiest schedule in the NFL in terms of a winning percentage a year ago.
In a division where you don't expect other teams to win 12, 13, 14 games either. And, but like I said, I mean, will Tyler Shuck's 2nd season be like Jaden Daniels? Who knows?
Right. We shall see.
Based on what he did last year, I feel really good about having him.
Right. And you too, Lenny?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan, and I expect a jump this year. How big is the jump?
Right.
Remains to be seen.
Let's shift gears to the New Orleans Pelicans, who have a new head coach now. Jamal Mosley comes over from the Orlando Magic. One thing that was talked about in the press conference was alignment, and if you look at Jamal Mosley and what he did at Orlando, what is his strength, which is again defense, and then you look at again the guy that's running the organization, a guy that made his game on defense as a bad boy when he won a championship with Detroit. Again, another fantastic defensive team. It seems that Jamal Mosley and also Joe Dumars on the same page here.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you win with defense in this league. I don't think there's you can shoot three. You got to be able to shoot threes. Okay, you can't. There's no doubt about that. But you win with defense in this
especially league. Especially in the playoffs. That's what people don't understand, how this game becomes a half-court game in the playoffs and a physical game in the playoffs. Yeah. And you have to be that type of team. Maybe not during the regular season, but you better be that team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that here's a guy coaching a team in the playoffs during the playoffs. And people were saying, he's going to be the next Pelicans coach.
Right.
What did he do?
There were some people saying that back in when as soon as Willie Green got fired. Right. Okay.
He's going to be the next. Really, I mean, during the playoffs, people saying this. Well, they're going to fire him, and he's going to be. And it came to pass.
Well, look, the NBA is one of those leagues where you better, if you. I hate the phrase "lose the locker room," okay, but the players are in there dictating a lot of things. You don't see that in the NFL. You don't see that in Major League Baseball. But in the NBA, it's a players' league. Yeah, and obviously there was something maybe we'll find out one day. Something that went on in Orlando, but again, it's a fresh face in here, and clearly changes need to be made. You can't go in with this coaching staff and run the same team back and think something's going to be significantly different next year.
Yeah, and I don't know how, because, full disclosure, I've never understood NBA economics, and I really never tried, okay? But you got to have players.
Yes.
In this league, you got to have players.
Right.
You got
to have a superstar.
It's a players' league, but you got to have people who can just outright play, like the teams we still see that are playing now.
Right.
Okay, coaching is fine, and coaching plays a part, but you got to have people who could just play.
Right.
I don't think the Pelicans have enough of those kind of people.
I would agree, which is why I think there's going to be a big change with this team. Now, one of the things that really stood out to me was unapologetically physical with a football mentality. Okay, and that's a lot different than what we've seen in New Orleans with a Pelicans basketball team.
It makes me, when I heard that at the press conference, it made me think of John Thompson. Because if you recall, during the 80s, John Thompson had a run of New Orleans players.
Oh, yes.
He had Perry McDonald and Jaren Jackson and Joey Brown and Dwayne Bryant and Jonathan Edwards. Every year a New Orleans person. And I asked him why, and he said because the kids from New Orleans have a football mentality. He said that they were the only ones. He said even Patrick and these people, when they came here, they were timid. But the kids from New Orleans came here like they were supposed to be here. They had that attitude.
Right.
Okay, they didn't back down from anybody, and that's what I thought about with that. And I know Joe, as nice a guy as he is, has always had that.
Yes.
That attitude.
Right.
Okay. He may not have shown it like some of his teammates did, but he had that. And when he says that, he means that. And it'll be interesting to see how they do that.
Well, you go back to the original opening press conference with Joe Dumars, and if you put those press conferences with Mosley side by side, they are speaking the same language. Again, the things that Joe Dumars said that he wanted in a basketball team last year, and it took him a year to try to see what he had, are the things that Mosley espoused at that press conference.
Right. Yeah, you look at these teams that are still playing in the playoffs. Oklahoma City and them. They are tough dudes. Okay, they really are. They can play the game. And the people in San Antonio, the young people they have there. It's just a hard mentality that I think this team really hasn't had.
Right.
And and I think part of that is, like I said, you got to have people who can just play.
Yes.
Now, Mosley's team's in Orlando. Very good defensive numbers for the most part. Not as good this year, right? Yeah. This year they dropped off a little bit, but they were top 3 in the league for a couple of years now.
Right.
2 out of the last 3 years.
Right, but you're playing in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
But I know it's like, oh, you're playing in the East, not playing in the West, and it's a lot harder. Well, in reality, you're playing, 52 games against your own conference and 30 against the other conference. So it's not, there's a 22 game swing in there in terms of what your schedule is going to look like in terms of an imbalance. It's not like the AFC and the NFC where you're playing, all these teams, you're playing 12 of your 17 games from one conference. You're only seeing the other side, 5 out of 17 games. This is, you're still playing 30 out of 82 games against the other conference. So it's not that kind of disparity. So I don't make a lot out of that, I guess is what I'm saying. Although obviously there are better teams in the West than there are in the East. I don't think there's any question about that.
And that tough mentality, that football mentality that we're talking about, isn't just that you elbow at people all the time or you're kicking or whatever. It's kind of a mental thing. Okay? And that's why I talked about the John Thompson thing, where he said they acted like they were supposed to be here from day one. They didn't back down from the seniors and everything.
Well, Dumars said disciplined team back in April 21st, built on toughness, smart decision makers, no excuses mindset, setting a standard for accountability and consistency to be great every day. And when I listen to Mosley, it's almost the exact same comments, maybe put in a different way. I love the defensive. I love having a defensive coach. I love the fact that he is a player developer. What I am hesitant about is the entire staff comes over from Orlando, and they struggled on the offensive side of the ball. They looked a lot like Willie Green's Pelicans with ISO ball, things stagnated, the ball not moving. I don't know if a free-flowing offense works in the NBA today. I liked what Borrego brought to the team in terms of that San Antonio style with the passing. I just wonder what changes he will make in terms of his offensive philosophy, if any, coming to New Orleans based on what happened in Orlando.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And what was interesting is people were asking a lot of questions about offense Tuesday, and he says, "Let's be clear. We're gonna everything's gonna be about the defensive end first." But the last time I checked, you got to have the ball in your hand to be able to score.
You got to put the ball in the basket.
You don't get scores for stops. So it's you've got to play on both ends of the floor. But obviously, I think teams that are would you rather have a team, that loses 140 to 130, or a team that loses 100 to 95? I would just say, I mean, a loss is a loss, but obviously I think defense travels. Yeah, it's the old saying in basketball, right?
Right.
You're going to get in the gym some night. You're going to get on the road. You're going to be in the third game in 4 nights on the road or something like that, and the shots just aren't going to fall. But defense is all about effort and toughness and a mentality. The one thing that stuck out to me, besides some of that in Moses' opening comments, was the whole concept. When he's talking about the non-negotiable things that he's letting these players know about. The first thing he talked about was being on time.
Yes.
And it was I'm a big believer. I believe that as well. But it's but he's like, hey, on your cuts, on your defensive communication, all of that, you've got to be on time. You got to be there for your teammates, and I think that's important. I don't know if that was directed at anybody.
Right.
I think it may have been, but it was good to hear.
Right.
Don't be late for the flight.
Right, or anything else. Well, not just that. You mentioned on the court as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
On time, outwork, attitude, communication is 4 pillars. I mean, look, everything you heard. Again, if you're a fan, you have to love it.
That's what he said.
Because what he's bringing to the table is discipline, and we saw a disciplined team and physicality. That's what we saw in Orlando. Now, to me, the only question is the offense. Last question on the Pelicans. You have to give up something to get something. And at the end of the day, this team does not have tough guys on it. A few, not enough. They don't have a football mentality. So there's going to have a turnover in the roster. And you have to give up something to get something. So when they open up this season in October, you expect a different roster?
I expect some different people on the team.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Oh, yeah. I expect some different people. One thing not strange about the NBA is, and I hate to keep going back to these teams, but who was Case and Wallace? Who were these Jalen Williams? Was anybody talking about, you know what I mean? I mean, were they high draft picks or were they people that we were talking about in college or anything like that? So my thing is that, the only thing I could see that they could do, is to find people. And when I say find people, I mean, it's like
draft
those people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just people, there are people who come into this league in the NBA and do very well that you didn't think would.
Yes, I would agree.
This time 4 years ago, nobody can tell me they thought that Jalen Brunson was going to be doing what he's doing.
No
now.
way.
Nobody.
No way.
Okay, and anybody who tells you that, no.
But it also is about
and so you got to
are,
find
right?
people. You luck into some people.
Right.
Well,
sometimes it's luck.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
it is.
Absolutely,
you just don't know.
Yeah, but you got to get the right guys that fit. Look,
Right.
and look, over the years, I mean, look, this is going to be the 25th season that NBA basketball is back in New Orleans this year. Okay, you look in that time. There are guys that were outside. I mean, obviously, for every Chris Paul and Zion Williamson and Anthony Davis that were high draft picks, okay, and obviously were meant to be pillars of the franchise, you had a David West that wasn't a lottery pick. Trey Murphy wasn't a lottery pick, okay? Yves Missi, I mean, he's still developing, but again, not a lot of, you've got guys that are, those are the types of guys that are coming outside the lottery. Jose Alvarado, I mean, you let him get away. Good for him that he's getting a chance to play for a championship now in New York. But look, I mean, those are the kind of guys that you got to hit on. Those guys outside the line, especially when you're making moves and you don't have lottery picks anymore, right?
Exactly.
So,
Great. Let's shift gears to the college game, and I want to start with LSU basketball because I want to get you guys' take on what Will Wade is doing in terms of putting together his team. Your thoughts?
Because of time, there was probably nothing else he could do. Because of time, whether you think it's right or not, or whether you think it's ethical or whatever. I mean, you kind of knew that he would do something that was kind of, I don't know, ordinary.
He's going to push the envelope.
Yeah, you know, something, somehow, some way. And I think that's what he's doing. But because of time, I mean, he got there so late. And if he wants to win right now.
Which he kind of has to.
I understand why he's doing what he's doing. Whether or not it'll work, we'll see, but I understand why he's doing it that way.
And we won't know the final product probably till August or September until they figure out, okay, this guy's going to be able to get in, they're going to allow him to play, whatever it is. Here's what's interesting to me. As of now, as they talk about it, a projected LSU starting lineup would be every bit as old on average age as the San Antonio Spurs starting lineup.
Crazy.
That is crazy, but that's welcome to college basketball in 2026. He's going over and getting some of these guys from Europe, and they've been playing over there, and obviously it's a different way of doing things in Europe than what we have in the United States.
They're men.
Yeah,
and they've been playing against men for 5, 6 years.
Yes,
guys, what's your thoughts on Will Hall as Tulane's head coach and anticipation for this season?
Well, before I talk about Will Hall, because it happened, John Summerall did a terrific job. Right. and I don't think people realize how good a job he did, even though they know they made it to the college football playoff. I mean, he had two different teams. One team was totally different from the other, from a personnel standpoint. And they won, made it to the playoffs, the whole works. But, Will Hall for me is another thing. I don't know. And I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know. I know that I think they have a little more coming back this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
From what I could see.
There were 60 new players last year. I don't think we're going to be quite to that.
Yeah, we're not going to be that. I think it's for continuity since he was there. If that's important to you, that's a good thing.
That's big in my mind as well.
The continuity. He's there. They know him. He knows them. He knows who he's bringing in, and I kind of expect Tulane to continue to do well. I'm not going to say they're going to make college football playoffs again. But, once again, you never know. We're talking about finding people in the NBA. It's the same thing in college football.
No doubt.
This time last year, we didn't know it was Jake Retzlaff.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and look, I think what it comes down to in my mind is this: it's less about Will Hall leading this team, and I think the continuity aspect's important.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is who ends up being the starting quarterback and what do they look like and how do they play. Okay, we go back 2 years ago, none of us were talking about Darren Mensa, right? We were talking about other guys competing. All of a sudden, it's funny that Summerall kept bringing up Mensa in the press conference. He keeps mentioning Mensa. It's one of those guys just wanted to bring up everybody. But let's see. Is it going to be Zion Chris Gremion, or is it going to be Caden Samanza, who was there last year and just really got caught in a numbers game? But I mean, I remember talking to before spring ball a year ago. Renee Nato and I sat down and talked to John Summerall, and we were talking about Samanza, and there were some interesting comparisons there. They liked the mental game and everything that he did. I mean, he was the freshman of the year in the MAC at Ball State 2 years ago. Right. So this is not some fly by night. Okay. Now I think what Chris Gremion brings a totally different dynamic, a dual threat guy, but who ends up winning, or is there somebody else? Is there a Darian Mensa who's coming off the off the screen and in horse racing parlance that's going to come out of the clouds to win the starting job? That in my mind is more important than the coach matters. But the quarterback is very important.
And I know you asked about Will Hall, and I hate to keep going back to the other guy, but the difference in how Hall exited,
or Summerall,
and how Summerall exited.
Right.
and Lane Kiffin exit.
Yes.
Okay, what did he say this week at the SEC meetings? He said, if they told him that he couldn't coach Tulane in the playoffs, he would not have taken the job.
Right, at Florida.
And you know
That's
what?
pretty strong.
And you know what? Look, there was a lot. Look, and he knew. Look, they were having honest conversations in the middle of last season because they knew it was a possibility.
Exactly.
And you know what? I take his word for it. I believe, you know what? He'd run it back together this year and probably ended up with another job.
Ordinarily, I wouldn't have. I would say, yeah, he's saying that now. But now I kind of think that
I would agree.
I believe him.
I do too.
I do.
Speaking of Lane Kiffin, we only got about 3 minutes left. Your thoughts on LSU and Lane Kiffin this year?
Oh, he's Lane Kiffin.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about him. LSU is being talked about because of Lane Kiffin. Everything he does is calculated.
Right.
He's a lot like Nick Saban. Okay, it's everything he does is calculated. What he said about Ole Miss and its racial problems, be it right or wrong, which I think is right. But it was calculated.
Right.
He was doing it to take a shot at Ole Miss and to help his own recruiting, and making people think that Baton Rouge is any better, which it's not.
Which, if you look at the history, of
but it doesn't matter.
Schools,
That's he did it for Lane Kiffin and for his program and all. And yeah, that's Lane Kiffin.
Right.
And people are talking about him almost every day.
Yeah, every day.
There's something about LSU.
Right.
Well, look, this year, I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to happen this year. Obviously, many new guys. You're putting together a bunch of guys out of the portal. You've had them there. You really didn't have much of a healthy Sam Levitt in camp and things like that. Watch here in the next week, but certainly in the next month. You're going to start seeing some guys to commit for 2027, okay? And Easton Royal from Brother Martin is visiting this weekend on the LSU campus.
Right.
If they flip him from Texas to LSU, that is a massive get for the class of 27 for them. And I think a lot of other guys in state may follow if he does that. And that's been a core of what LSU's done. You keep the best players in state. You've got to be able to do that.
Right, no doubt about it. The record, how good do you think they'll be this year? Do you have any clue? Any predictions?
I'm going to be conservative and say 9-3.
9-3.
Okay, and is that going to be good enough to get in the playoff? Right. Don't know. You're going to be right on the edge there.
9 was what I would
about 9
think off the top of my head.
You think
9 wins?
Right. SEC will be tough once again. It'll be interesting to see again how that plays out. I got 2 minutes left. Your thoughts on the change from UNO to LSUNO? Your thoughts? Got about a minute.
First of all, real quick, I'm amazed that there are people who do not remember when there was LSUNO and the basketball team put tape over LS.
Yes.
And it was this UNO. I've said that to some people, and they looked at me like I was nuts. I said, well, that happened. I'm not an LSU UNO grad or anything like that, but I always like the University of New Orleans.
I think it's a great brand.
I just think it's a great brand. It should be the University of New Orleans.
Honestly, that doesn't bother me. Let me just that doesn't bother me.
It bothers me.
No. That because the teams are going to still go by New Orleans. I don't like the color change. Right. I think they ought to stick with the blue, and not flip the purple. There's 50 years of history in that.
Right.
And that's the thing. There's 50 years of history there. You don't have to throw it all out with the baby with the bathwater. They could have kept the colors. They could have kept the name and still been part of the LSU
And it's
system.
all right if Eunice is purple and gold, and if Shreveport is purple and gold.
Alexandria,
but that's okay. And Alexandria is purple and gold.
Agreed.
You could have even brought the gold in. You could have brought the gold in instead, because they're going to keep the silver. Okay, as a trim. Don't take the purple, keep the blue, and go blue and gold.
But to your point, that's Eunice, that's Alexandria, that's not New Orleans.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's all right for them.
Right.
Okay, I don't see a problem with that. But in this one, that's a Division I program.
Right.
Okay? So when you play against each other.
And by the way, congrats to Mike Girlando.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Really happy for him, no doubt. Happy to have you guys on the panel tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Lenny Vangilder, Earl Brown.
Thank you.
And of course, we appreciate both those guys joining us here on Inside New Orleans Sports. All right, folks, there's a QR code on your screen that will take you to WLAE-TV YouTube channel, to my website, ericasher.com. Remember, there's so many ways to catch our program. I say it every week. We're so blessed. WLAE-TV 2, WLAE-TV, WLAE-TV 2, also known as Encore, Pelican Sports Television, the WLAE-TV YouTube channel. Set your DVR. You'll never miss the program. You can catch me on the radio, 106.7 1067 The Ticket. That's 4 to 6 weekdays. You can listen live at on the 1067 Ticket website. Also, we have an app, 1067 The Ticket app, iHeartRadio app, TuneIn Radio app. So many ways to catch our station. Again, make sure you lock and load 1067 Ticket when you're looking for sports talk here in New Orleans' only 24-hour sports station. I want to thank the underwriters who make our show possible. Please support our underwriters and the folks here at WLAE-TV who produce our program. Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, also Alex Chacon, and of course the best director on the planet, William Hill. There you go. I'm Eric Asher, for World Brown, and also Lenny Vangilder. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week for another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports.
Today, we bring you the first part of our global broadcast exclusive conversation.
I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez.
This is Democracy Now!
Weekdays at 12 on WLAE.